here. This video is going to be very long, I have a feeling, because I have so much to tell you guys about this weekend, competing at WODAPALOOZA, what it was like as an athlete. I've done the competition before, but a couple years ago as a scaled individual, and this was the first time that I have done WODAPALOOZA as a team. So I have a lot to fill you guys in on. I know so many of you were asking questions over the weekend as I was posting and putting things on my story. So let's just jump right into the weekend. I am still recovering. This is my second day off from the gym after getting done with the weekend on Sunday, and I think 2 days will probably be enough to recover from it, but my shoulders are still so fried. Like, I have a hard time like lifting my arms up. I couldn't even like wash my hair or do anything. I was like, ugh. Body-wise, I'm feeling a little rough, but I would like to discuss a couple of different things with you guys. So let's just start with the title of this video, the WODAPALOOZA experience as an athlete, what it was like. Over the years, if you do not know, WODAPALOOZA has become one of the largest CrossFit competitions in the country. It is freaking massive. There's like stats somewhere that show the growth of it. I'll have to pop them up here for you guys so you can see, but it is insane. So right off the bat, this competition was so much larger and so much more intense, I guess you could say, than it has been in the past. Like, obviously at the higher level, there's always going to be really famous CrossFit athletes competing, like Patrick Vellner and Tia Toomey and all those girls and guys up there that are freaking awesome, which has always been the case for WODAPALOOZA. It's been a place for the elite competitors to compete as well. But now that this has become a CrossFit sanctioned event, it has been increasingly getting more serious and more like just so strict and so intense. We'll start off this video by talking about the reason why you compete. Now, everybody's reason is going to be different. Some people are competing for the first time to get like nerves out of their system. Some people are really trying to win money. However, I will say as a side note, and this was one of the questions that was asked on my Instagram, money prizes are only for like elite pro people who are going to the games and teams and things like that. If you're competing as an RX individual, an intermediate individual, or team, or scaled, you don't get paid for anything. So I'll begin by saying that I competed on an intermediate team of 3. And if you don't know the backstory, Ricky, my friend, her and 2 girls from their gym were initially on a team together, and then their third teammate tore her quad, so she asked me to fill in. So there was quite a bit of an age difference between the 3 of us. Ricky's in her 30s, and then the third girl was 37, and then their teammate that tore her quad was 40 or 40 something. I was the youngest one going on to their team, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as far as like, how you want to place yourself with other people on a team. But for now, I just want to start out the video talking about how, or basically why you want to compete and how that can affect your entire weekend. But if you are somebody who's competing for money, and this is not just for WODAPALOOZA, I'm just talking about my experience at WODAPALOOZA, but if you're somebody who's competing locally for money, this video probably does not apply to you because you probably will already know this information, or it doesn't necessarily apply to you because you're at an elite level, and therefore you most likely won't be dealing with some of these issues that people who compete at an intermediate or scaled or RX level will experience during competitions. So the reason why I personally compete is to challenge myself in ways that training just does not. The intensity, the adrenaline, the volume, just everything about competing is always so much more intense than regular training, and it really challenges you to push yourself beyond what you think you're capable of doing. And I think it's a really great way for me personally to see what I need to work on in training, and I think a lot of people will utilize that as well. For example, in one of the workouts that we had, I noticed a lot of girls were failing their handstand push-ups, their handstand walks, and that's something that is a skill that you can definitely practice on after the competition. So, there's things where when you get put out into the competition floor, you don't really have a choice to be like, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to skip this, or I'm going to skip that, how we would in training. And so competing is a great way to highlight those weaknesses that you will want to work on in training after the competition. And I saw some people failing the handstand ramp, and then they come back and they're like, oh my God, like I have to practice that ramp for next time, or muscle ups, or whatever the case may be. So for me personally, I like to highlight what I'm not good at and see what areas of my training needs more focus. For me personally, that's always going to be heavy barbell cycling, especially under fatigue. That is something that I really struggle with. We had a workout in particular, not to get off on too much of a tangent, but we had a workout in particular that was supposed to be like alternating pairs of 2 to do the workout, and then we could tag in and out our partners. And the total amount was 30 bar muscle ups, 90 handstand push-ups, and all kinds of things. I ended up doing the majority of the handstand push-ups, all the bar muscle-ups, and so my shoulders, by the time we got to the barbell to do shoulder to overhead, they were just fried, and I could only do like 5 or 6 at a time. So something that I personally need to work on is heavy barbell cycling under fatigue, whereas other people may need to work on their gymnastics or their bar muscle-ups or something like that. In my opinion, I think it's really important to remember why you're competing, so that when these things start happening, and they will, which I'll get into, but when these things start happening during competition and you get frustrated, you get angry, you want to give up, it's really important to bring yourself back to reality. Remember why you're competing. Remember that you're not going to the games, okay? Like, as much as, you know, I don't want to be a dream killer, the percentage of people going to the games now is so small with all the CrossFit sanction changes. So realistically speaking here, the majority of us competing, especially if you are in intermediate or scaled, is very, very, very minimal. So you have to take everything that happens with a grain of salt and really just continue to remind yourself why you're doing this, why you're competing, and what your true focus is, and try not to let all the other crap get in the way of that. So let's talk about malfunctions and things that go wrong in competition, which are bound to happen. Let's just be real. Especially in a competition that is as large as WODAPALOOZA. Especially in a competition that is as large as WODAPALOOZA, there's bound to be things that go wrong, and I will give you guys a couple examples as what I experienced during this whole weekend. The first event of the entire weekend was a 5K run on the beach in the sand, and we had to wear these bibs, and we were going in and out of the water. There were like 4 different buoys that were different like lengths throughout the ocean that were, it was weird. Like, we were running through the water, but then once you got out to the buoy, it wasn't, for short people anyway, it wasn't really deep enough, or I should say, it wasn't shallow enough to continue walking. So like, Ricky and I had to swim kind of around the buoy. It was just so weird. Well, apparently from what I heard after the workout, people's times on the 5K were incorrect on the scoreboard because the bib got messed up in the water. I guess it screwed up something internally with the bib and the little chip thing that was red on the finish line when we crossed through. So a lot of people's scores were incorrect, and when they, you know, as they were updating the leaderboard throughout the day, some people, both individual and team, were like freaking out at the scoreboard because they're like, no, I saw the time when I ran through and it said whatever, and then their score time was like 10 minutes different. The judges, or the score people, there's like different people for that do scoring and then judging, they were basically like, well, too bad, you know, like we're putting this score in and that's that. And again, unfortunately, if you're not an elite athlete going to the games, like, it really doesn't matter. They don't care. Like, it's just, it is what it is. So there was one person who she crossed through, and the person that was there supporting her was actually filming her, and they got a video of her crossing through the finish line at that time, like with the time in the video that was different from her score. And so she brought it and she fought that at the scoring table, and she was like, no, I have video proof, and they changed it for her. But anybody else that said that it was incorrect, they were kind of just like, peace out, like, we don't care. So obviously that's kind of like an unfortunate thing. It is bound to happen. There's going to be some issues, but leading into that, you have to kind of remember that the people that are there running these events usually are not getting paid, and all the judges and the volunteers, they're literally volunteers. They are standing outside in the sun for 10 hours a day, 3 days in a row for WODAPALOOZA. They're dealing with angry athletes, they're hungry, they're tired, they're probably not sleeping. Like, they have a lot of shit to deal with. And honestly, if it wasn't for the volunteers, we wouldn't have a competition. Like, they're doing this for us so that we can compete. So when this kind of stuff happens, again, think back to like why you're doing it. Should you flip out on the judge if they, you know, no rep you? No, like, it's not going to get you anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So like, you just have to kind of keep that in mind, that they're doing this for free. Oh, that's a lovely toy. That's so nice. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. They're doing it for free and for the sake of you being able to compete. So just keep that in mind. Another example of this that we had, and you know, like as the workouts go on, they will start to realize common issues that they're having with certain heats. So if you're one of the first heats and they've realized that some issue is going on, that sucks for you, but that's what happens. Your heat is like the guinea pig of what's going on, and then they'll end up changing it for the next heat. Is it fair? No, but again, you kind of just have to deal with it. So for example, we had a workout where we had to do toes to bar. It was this big chipper, and while we were getting briefed before the workout, the head judge told us, like, make sure you point to the guy. There was going to be like dedicated guys behind the rig to lift you up onto the bar if you could not reach the toes to bar, which obviously myself and Ricky, we're both 5 feet tall. We can't reach the rig. So we both had to point to the guy as we were running across the field to get lifted up onto the field. And that was supposed to be like a mutual thing. Like if he saw us pointing, then he knew that he needed to pick us both up. Also, mid-workout, we're running down there. She points to him, I point to him. He picks her up on the bar and she's hanging there. And then he looks at me and goes, no, you can jump. And I was like, what? This is mid-workout, okay? And the clock's still going. So I was like, I'm not gonna argue with him. So I try to jump, I miss, bust my ass. And then he realizes like, oh, she really can't reach the bar. So he stands there and finally picks me up. Of course, that was very unfortunate because we lost about like maybe a minute of time that had he just picked me up and put me on the bar, we could have gained those toes to bar. But that's like kind of one of those things where I'm not going to stand there and waste time mid-workout arguing with the judge about an intermediate team that he could give two shits about. You know, you kind of just have to like roll with the punches. And that's so common in competing. Like these things are always going to happen. So you kind of have to just like focus on your own attitude and not like flip out on things that you can't control, because there's nothing that I could have done differently that would have caused that guy to lift me up on the bar or not. You know what I'm saying? So like you kind of just have to keep on going and just like laugh about it. The same thing goes for like malfunctioning equipment. We had a bike break on our third workout. It freaking sucked. And we lost, like, honestly, I think that might have been one of our best workouts had that bike not broken. But again, this is like one of those circumstances that you just can't control. You never know what's going to happen. And there's nothing that you can do mid-workout. So like, in my personal opinion, I think it's best to just like accept that it's happening, not give up, you know, because like, I feel there might be something that they could do for you afterwards, depending on like your attitude towards it. Like I said before, these judges are really just doing this for free and out of the kindness of their heart. So like, I don't ever want to be rude to them or not appreciate what they're doing. So if that does happen to you during a competition, just realize it's okay. Like I said, it's not costing you the games. But overall, I would say, you know, the competition was so fun. The workouts were so hard, so challenging. I'll talk about like my favorite workout, my least favorite workout, answer some of your guys' questions. But I would say, honestly, overall, WODAPALOOZA is just growing and growing and growing. The vendors, they were so much bigger this year. The athlete area was insane. They had so much for us. They had so much recovery, the medics, the CBD people. I mean, it was amazing at how much they truly put into this competition. The people that were nonstop for like 24 hours a day, putting the work in for this competition. Everything was really on time, honestly. Like, the only time we had an issue was because, again, nothing we could control. There was an electrical storm that came through Sunday morning, and they had to cancel the whole Sunday morning's event. So like, all the RX teams, the youth, like all the people that were supposed to go Sunday morning, their whole events just got canceled. Like they couldn't redo it. So that's another situation where like that really friggin' sucks for them because they didn't even get to do the workout. Because of that, it pushed us back like, I want to say it was like an hour and a half that we got pushed back for workouts and things. Other than that, I mean, they were like to the T on time with heats and events, and it was very organized. We knew what was going on. There were a couple changes to the workouts that happened because of the storm. Like when we had that electrical storm, everything was really wet. The ground was wet. The rigs were wet. And they took out muscle ups on the second to last workout and put burpees over the pylon. You know, there's things that will happen. You can't control it. Workouts change. You kind of just got to keep going with it. And it's just a really fun experience. It's a great way to challenge yourself, both mentally and physically. And yes, physically, people were asking like how sore I am. Today, I think I am the most sore that I've been so far. I also thought it was so fun how many like people that follow me on Instagram or YouTube and stuff that I met. It was so many people this year, more than any other CrossFit event I've ever been to, and I just think that is so freaking awesome. I mean, it is like so just amazing to me at how the CrossFit community can come together with things like that and just like bring people together, the support, the motivation. I mean, talking to different people and seeing how like they've said my videos have helped them or just my meals or something like that. It just made me feel like very warm and fuzzy inside. So I went in on Instagram today and asked what kind of WODAPALOOZA specific questions that you guys have. So I want to kind of talk about a few different things that I know a lot of people were asking. We're going to go through a couple of these as quickly as possible. When is your central nervous system overloaded with too much training? It was probably overloaded the entire weekend. I felt like I got hit by a train by Sunday. Like, you know, the constant adrenaline dump is just so much for your body to handle. Like, just you're so nervous. And yes, people were asking if we were nervous. Of course we were nervous. I was so nervous before every single workout. You're going out there, you're going from 0 to 100, and then you're just crashing. So I feel like it definitely puts a lot of strain on your central nervous system, which is why it's really important to make sure that you're recovering properly, staying hydrated, stretching during workouts. I think a lot of times people make the mistake of just like dying after a workout and then not moving until the next workout. I personally liked to walk around the venue. I rolled my feet out a lot after the 5K. I did a lot of stretching, stretched my hips. It still doesn't help though. Like overall, you feel like death after every competition. It just happens. How was the vibe of the whole thing similar or different to that of the CrossFit Games? It was actually pretty similar, I'd say, to the CrossFit Games. I've been twice to the Games and it was very similar, but obviously the Games is just like on a bigger scale. Did you get to watch any of the elites compete? What were your observations and experience? I did not actually in person. The stands were so filled with spectators for the elites that it was so hard to see, and of course I'm short as it is, so I couldn't see over the sideline. So unfortunately I didn't get to watch them, but it was really cool just to see how many people were there supporting them. Like it definitely was a positive vibe for sure. Did you end up doing the double unders, handstand, 1 rep max clean and jerk like you planned? Yes, we did. Nicole Capurso stepped in for us, which was so awesome. It was such a fun workout and such a fun way to end the weekend. That was actually probably my favorite workout. Even though I was so tired by the clean and jerk, that was so much fun. What was your most favorite and least favorite WOD and why? I think my most favorite, like based off of skills for me, was definitely the bar muscle up handstand push-up. I was just killing it on those bar muscle ups and handstand push-ups. That's a really strong point for me, and same with the double unders and handstand walks. Anything like gymnastics wise, I can usually go for a long period of time. My least favorite, I would have to say, was that open water swim with the ski. Even though we actually did really well on that workout, it was just the most taxing, and I felt so sick afterwards because I had swallowed so much salt water. When we jumped in, it was just so choppy, and then of course the boats were going by. So it was like just anytime you turned your head to breathe, you just swallow so much water. It was horrible. Tips on how to treat your judge and communicate when issues arise. I've been a judge a few times. This message got cut off, but yes, kind of in the same token that I mentioned, it's really important to treat them with respect and be kind to them and not freak out. I know that can be hard and frustrating, especially if it's costing you an event or something like that. But overall, like I said at the beginning of this video, it's about what you're competing for. You're not competing to go to the games or to win $25,000, especially if you're in intermediate. Let's talk about that next. The divisions breakdowns. So when you look at WODAPALOOZA, you would think that RX is regular CrossFit RX and intermediate is a step below, then scaled is a step below that. Truthfully, the way that WODAPALOOZA has everything like sanctioned or what have you is a little bit more difficult. So for example, intermediate, which is the division that I was in, has ring muscle ups, bar muscle ups, chest to bar pull-ups, open water swim, toes to bar, and the weights for RX, like how the workouts that we did were prescribed, were the regular CrossFit RX weights. So like 95, 65, 115, 85, all of that was exactly how if you walked into a CrossFit gym and did the workout RX, that would be what WODAPALOOZA intermediate is. RX would be what normal CrossFit gyms would consider like RX Plus, RX Pro, which we had pretty much all the same movements, ring muscle up, bar muscle up, handstand walk, double unders, toes to bar, all that stuff was the same. The only difference was the weights. The weights were about 10 to 15 pounds heavier in RX. A lot of people were asking about the process of competing at WODAPALOOZA, and actually if you guys go to the website, WODAPALOOZA.com, it will explain everything as far as the qualifiers go. And it's essentially really similar to the Open with like video submissions and getting put into the specific bracket that you can compete at. Only the elite people get invited to compete. Everybody else has to go through the qualifiers, and then the scaled people I think are like a first come first serve basis, but they still do have to do the qualifiers. Kind of depends, but you can read all about that on the website. I'll put the link in the description box below. And overall, just to kind of like recap everything, I love the experience of competing. I love meeting people. I love like just pushing myself to that point. And I don't know, I think it's a really great learning experience. If you guys have the opportunity to compete at whatever level you're at, I definitely think you should do it. It's a great opportunity. And especially like if you want to become a more serious athlete, whether it's competing at local competitions or WODAPALOOZA or whatever it may be, it definitely is a great way for you to learn about what you need to practice on, whether that's physically or mentally. And I just think it's really fun, and I really like WODAPALOOZA that it's local-ish for me. And a lot of you guys were asking if I will do it again next year. Yes, I will do it again next year. Probably as a team, but I will be doing it with like Austin's sister and one other girl that's our age. So I'm really looking forward to it, but now that weekend is a wrap. The Open is right around the corner. I'm so excited about it. Not for any other reason than just the same reason for competing, just like pushing myself. And to be honest, that's why I like CrossFit. It's just very intense and fun, and you learn a lot of things, and it's just a great way to challenge yourself. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll be doing it in Iowa. Today is 39 days until my move to Iowa. So your girl's excited. I know this video was a very long sit down video, but I had a lot to talk about with WODAPALOOZA. So I hope to see you guys there at next year's WODAPALOOZA. And if you have any other questions, I know I didn't cover all of them, but there was a lot, and I didn't want to make this video like 30 million years long. So leave them down in the comment section below, and I will try to get to all of them. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all the support, the comments, the meeting you, the videos, watching the events. I loved it. And I will see you guys in my next one. I know this video was a very long sit down video, but I had a lot to talk about with WODAPALOOZA. So I hope to see you guys there at next year's WODAPALOOZA. And if you have any other questions, I know I didn't cover all of them, but there was a lot, and I didn't want to make this video like 30 million years long. So leave them down in the comment section below, and I will try to get to all of them. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all the support, the comments, the meeting you, the videos, watching the events. I loved it. And I will see you guys in my next one.
One, go. That'll be that team that you are strong here in lane number 13. So 30 rounds into the second round. You're going to see how that changes in a few minutes. And I'll tell you what, that team down here, the Mighty Trio, has their two athletes started the dumbbells. Now they'll make the tag.
Come on, Manders.